Welcome to another Scenic Insider series, Real Advisors, Real Experiences. Today, we're going beyond the ship and into the experience. What really stands out on a scenic river cruise once you're there? I'm joined by Beth and Rich Tengowski from In Tune Travel, who recently sailed on the Scenic Opal through the Netherlands and Belgium. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Thanks, guys. So before we sail in, for those less familiar with Scenic, Scenic is an ultra-luxury river cruise experience from butler service for every guest to immersive excursions and fine dining. The Scenic Opal is one of their sleek spaceships sailing through Europe, designed to feel like a boutique hotel on the water with spacious suites, panoramic views, and multiple dining venues. So let's sail in. Are you guys ready?
We are ready.
Let's go.
So, looking back at the itinerary, what destinations or moments stood out more than you expected?
Yes, sir.
No, go ahead.
Well, first of all, we launched out of Amsterdam, and the third day we pulled into Bernice, and we actually went to a little village called Veer, which is kind of a fishing little village, very quaint, charming as could be. We walked through the village a little bit. But the one of the highlights looking back is when we got back to the ship, they actually went and did some fishing. They brought some mussels back on the ship for us to
Oysters
for us to try on the ship, which was a complete surprise. So it was a wonderful little, experience. For me, that was one of them that really stood out. How about you?
I really enjoyed Antwerp. I have never been to Belgium, and I thought it was a beautiful city. We did the walking tour there, and our guide was fantastic. And then we had plenty of time, which is really nice. We didn't feel the rush to get back to the ship. So we had a lot of time to just explore on our own. We sat down and had, he had a beer and I had a hot chocolate because I was cold. And some Belgian fries, which we had to try, of course, with mayonnaise. And then, of course, we explored all the chocolate places that are there.
A lot of them.
Yeah. And a lace store. It was really nice, and a beautiful church right in the center of town.
The beauty of that is we pulled up right in the city center. So it was like a 2-minute walk right to where we wanted to get to. That was really nice. I'm going to add one. If you don't mind. That was actually, we went to Arnhem, and I didn't know anything about this little village. And I'm kind of a history buff, and knowing that the British parachuted in and the history and the battle there just created a whole new perspective for me. Again, as Americans, we learn all about American history and the invasion, but having the British perspective was completely new. And I've been to the Pegasus Bridge before, and knowing what the British did at this little village, for me, as kind of a history buff, it was fascinating. Beautiful little village.
I love that because the connections that these cruises, and it brings you to these small towns where you're not only hearing about our past histories there, but then learning about the European history, and it just all goes full circle. And one of my favorite reasons to do Europe, and especially doing it on a river cruise. So you guys talked about so many amazing things, and were there any additional hidden gems that you want to talk about? I mean, I think you covered a lot, but was there anything else that you can share from this experience that you might say this was absolutely a hidden gem?
Yeah, and I think we have two different options. Go ahead.
We'll say them at the same time. Kuchenhof for me.
Yeah. Kuchenhof was one, but I was going to say, and now I'm not going to be able to pronounce it properly, the Fabrique des Luminaires. That was our Scenic and Rich that we did one evening. That was amazing. So we had seen the Van Gogh immersive exhibit in Milwaukee when it came through. This was 3 times what we saw in Milwaukee. It had Van Gogh, it had Rembrandt, it had other lesser known artists, and the music was phenomenal. We walked in and were handed a glass of champagne, and it was just an amazing evening. So I have to say that's really a hidden gem for me.
I love that. That is our immersive experience. Those we have one of those on every river cruise, and they are those wow moments. So that definitely is a nice hidden gem. And Kukenhof Garden isn't bad either, Rich. So that is also a good one.
Since we're talking about gems right away, what was really enticing about this Enrich program, it was a private event for our ship. And I didn't expect that. I mean, we had full, the place to ourselves.
Yep.
And
the places are closed down. They're private to just our cruise, our ship, and they are special moments on our cruises.
that was impressive.
All right, so let's talk about a little bit selling. There are so many excursions to help our advisors and clients. How did you personally decide what to do on the excursions that you had available to you every day?
The two of us just sat down and discussed what we like. We pretty much agreed on most things. We tend to be foodies. So we like walking tours that include food tours where you're going off the beaten path and you're not just going to those tourist spots. So we did a couple of those. I think the one day that we had a little bit of disagreement was in Antwerp. He wanted to do the beer and chocolate pairing. And I said, I don't like beer, so I really don't want to. So we actually discussed, and this is something that travelers can easily do. We discussed the option of I'll do the walking tour, you do the beer and chocolate pairing. We ended up not doing that. He decided to stay with me and we did the walking tour and then we did the beer and chocolate afterwards. But that is always an option, which is really nice. So
right.
I think
There's a mix of active cultural experiences, and it's all about your pace of the day and picking your style. So that is it's great to have all those different options. It does create those conversations, but those are fun conversations to have. And what you ultimately choose to do is never the wrong decision. They're all amazing tours, right? So I'm glad you guys got to experience that. I have done that beer tour, and it's pretty good, though, Rich. You're gonna have to go back.
That's one thing I keep thinking, oh, maybe I should have done that. But Garrett, I want to add one more thing that I thought was kind of fascinating. Is they had e-bikes on the ship that people were using, and we actually talked about trying that. We're not big bikers, but we thought that'd be a great way to see the countryside and see some of the villages. And again, that was a little bit of a surprise. I didn't expect the quality of bikes that they had. So
what I liked was a lot of other ships only have regular bikes, and the fact that Scenic has e-bikes is awesome because you've got some people that maybe want to do a bike trip, but they have an e-bike back home because they maybe can't do the hills anymore or have knee issues, and the e-bikes really help.
They are, and they're e-assist, so you can turn them on. You don't need to use it. You would, however you want to choose your bike ride experience. It could be just a normal 5-speed, 10-speed bike ride, or it could be an e-assist bike ride. And they are very, very popular, as you probably noticed. And so for anyone who's listening to this, make sure you do sign up early. When they become available to sign up, you do have to sign up on the ship. So guys,
good excursions.
Yes.
Lots of them.
Great. Yeah, I think you covered a lot, and I'm so excited about this, Beth and Rich. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. There's nothing better than hearing how these itineraries actually come to life once you're there. And for those listening, hopefully this gave you a clearer picture of not just where you'll go on a scenic river cruise, but how to make the most of every stop along the way. If this itinerary or river cruising in general is on your radar, now is a great time to start planning. The current insider sale is available for limited time with savings on this sailing and more through April 19. Reach out to Beth, Rich, or your preferred travel advisor, or if you're an advisor listening, now's the time to start those conversations with your clients. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.